Please go ahead, but I'm a bit puzzled and bewildered. Corporal punishment in the Act?
Well, there is.
Sorry, please go. My apologies.
I'm reading from section 65, subsection 4 of the Prisons Act. It provides that a sentence of corporal punishment shall not be carried out except in the presence of a medical officer, or if no medical officer is available, of the commissioner or other person authorized by the minister, nor before the medical officer, commissioner, or other persons authorized has after examined and certified that in his or her opinion, the person is physically fit to undergo the sentence or the corporal punishment about to be inflicted on him or her. It's quite something, but it's provided for in the Prisons Act.
What date, what year is that Act?
It's Act number 18 of 1953, but it's been amended several times.
53?
Yes, but it's been amended several times. I think the latest amendment was in 2008, but not like substantively, probably in like a few sections in the Act.
So the government has the power to beat up people in their custody?
It is provided for in the Act.
Thank you. Sorry to digress.
Are you aware of this particular provision in the Prisons Act?
Yes.
You've told us that there has never been a time when a medic is required when such punishments are carried out.
True.
In fact, the case of Makodu and Lamin Job were not the only ones as far as corporal punishments are concerned. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Have you ever heard of or witnessed any other incidents of corporal punishment?
That of Falu Sise.
Can you tell us what happened to Falu Sise?
Let me say, he has a problem. I think they said he was talking to, not in love, but he was talking to one female prison officer. But Falu was in the gate lodge. The lady was outside, as to the explanation I had, because it was not in my presence. Falu was inside the gate lodge, and the prison officer was outside. So they were having a conversation. So I think one of the male officers saw them, and he has to grab Falu to somewhere where he was punished. That punishment was done, beating was done after closing hours, I think. When I came in the morning, I was informed, I was told.
Do you know who ordered his punishment?
I don't know.
And talking to an inmate talking to a female prison officer, as far as you know, is that a crime?
It's not a crime at all.
So Falu was beaten for merely talking to a female prison officer?
Yes, as to what the explanation I had.
And did you see him after he was beaten?
Yes, I saw him the following day with his drugs. He came to the clinic. I saw him.
Can you tell us about his condition?
No, he was in a normal condition. Yeah, he was taken to the hospital after then. He came back with the treatment given to him from the hospital.
So he was beaten to the point that he did require medical treatment at the hospital?
They themselves carried Falu to the hospital.
Were you opportune to look at his physical appearance?
Yes, he came to me. I saw him day after.
Did you see any visible injuries on him?
No, I don't see any visible injuries. I can't remember if there were visible injuries. I didn't see.
After receiving treatment from RBTH, what did he come to you for?
No, he came to me to explain this scene to me and to show me the drugs, what happened to him, and the drugs he got from the hospital as the medical officer in charge.
Was he obliged to come to you and show you the medication and then inform you of what happened?
Maybe he was obliged, but Falu was a tailor, moving up and down. He was one of those they call red band, meaning you will be stamped, given a red something here, a red band here on your soldier, that you will be able to be moving up and down in the prisons, within the prison premises. So he can come to me at any time he feels like coming to me. Yeah.
Apart from Falu and Makodu and Lamin, did you hear of any other incidents of prisoners being beaten by prisoners?
Yeah, it has been happening there, but I cannot remember names. I can't remember the names.
Would you say it was a normal thing in prisons for prison guards to beat up prisoners as a form of punishment?
I can say it was normal before.
So in essence, it was part of the system. It was something that was allowed for prison guards to beat up prisoners.
Yeah, it was part of the system, I can say.
Do you know if the management was aware of what was going on with respect to prison guards beating up prisoners?
Well, in that case, I don't know whether they were aware.
But was it a known secret in prison that it was permitted or allowed for prison guards to beat up prisoners?
If it is a what?
Was a known secret among prison guards that they were allowed to beat up prisoners?
Sometimes it will be a secret. Sometimes people will not know, because where they take them to punish them, I will not be there. I'm far away there. They will collect them, maybe he has done something wrong that they will feel like punishing him. Then they will carry him or her, him to a place where he will be punished. I will not be there. So I will not know. If nobody tell me, I will not know.
Did the prisoners, since you had I'll assume that you had a good relationship with prisoners because you offer them treatment sometimes, am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Did prisoners tell you about their fears about being beaten or punished by the prison guards?
Prisoners are not secretive. Whatever you do to them, he will come to you and tell you, this is what happened to me, especially if they are beaten. They will come to you point blank and tell you, this was what happened to me.
As a result of this that was going on, were prisoners afraid of the prison guards?
No, I don't mingle with them, but I know as for myself, they are not afraid of me. But I cannot talk on behalf of others. Whether they are afraid of them, I don't know, but I know they are not afraid of me.
But the ones that will carry out the beatings, are prisoners usually scared of them?
I don't know, maybe they will be they will be scared of them, I don't know. Because if somebody, you know this man as, he is the one who used to beat people, or, yeah, he is the one who used to beat people. Definitely, even if it is your child, every time you beat him or her, he would definitely be afraid of you. He will be scared of you.
These prisoners that are at Mile 2, they are adults, correct?
Exactly.
And with respect to adults being beaten like that and being corporal punishment being administered to them, wouldn't you think that they will be in a state of fear as a result of the system that they were in?
It could lead them to a state of fear. That's true.
And what is the main role of a prison officer with respect to the prisoners that are under their custody?
My role?
Yes, generally as a prison officer.
Keeping them safe. Their health issues too should be a concern to the prison officers. Yeah.
You mentioned keeping them safe. Now, if prisoners are being beaten, or it was allowed to beat prisoners, do you think that the prisoners will feel that they're being safeguarded by the prison guards?
Not at all.
And you also mentioned providing medical assistance. In instances where prisoners are being denied of medical assistance, do you think that they will feel safe and secure to approach the medical unit when they are sick?
Yes, they still come up. They still come to the clinic. If they have anything that is bothering them, a burden on them, they will come to us. If they feel anything. If they are sick, they will still come to us.
In cases where they feel that even if they come to you, nothing will happen, do you even think that they will have that mind to actually approach the medic unit?
Yes, they will still come because we have these visiting doctors coming every week. So if they are denied from going to the hospital, they are obliged to see the visiting doctor coming in.
How often do they usually see these visiting doctors?
Whenever you want to see a visiting doctor, when it is necessary, we book you for the doctor.
And these doctors, their visits, was it like a regular thing or?
It's a regular thing as of now. It's a regular thing.
Looking at the system previously till date, how would you explain the situation with respect to doctors visiting from outside to treat the prisoners?
Before, when they started bringing in doctors from outside, I was not there. But when I came back, it was a continued thing. When a doctor moved, another one would touch in.
And when did they start bringing the doctors in?
It was not in my presence. Then I left for Sudan. Then I think that was the time this Dr. Isu came in.
Will that be in 2013?
Sure, I cannot say the exact year.
You left for Sudan around 2013, not
yeah,
so?
Yeah.
And before you left, no medical doctors were coming to visit the prisoners, correct?
Yeah, yes, I don't know. I don't think they were coming. I'm not sure. They may be coming, but I cannot remember for sure.
We've also received evidence that certain prison officers were engaged in theft of prisoners' food, that is their rations. Were you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
This was a well-known secret within prison itself. And you were part of the staff of prison itself. And it was common knowledge that certain prison officers were engaged in stealing prison rations. You're telling the commission that you have never heard that.
Counsel, when those things are taking place, I cannot be a witness to that. I will be in my area. Those things will happen in the area there. So I cannot be a witness to that.
We've received evidence from the current DG of prisons. We've also received evidence from Mr. Korta of the same issue. And we've also received evidence from So of the same issue. That means that theft of prison rations prisoners' food was actually occurring in Mile 2. Now, with respect to it, won't you say that probably the poor diet, to a large extent, can also be attributed to the theft of the food?
Yes, that is possible. If they were taking the prisoners' ration, that could lead to the poor diet in the prisons.
And if you can tell us, after the first training you received with respect to your basic medical training, did you receive any other training relating to what you were doing at Mile 2?
Yeah. The TB units, NLTP will engage us in their trainings. That's about case management of TB and treatment, plus HIV counseling and testing. We were also engaged on those trainings.
How many of you benefited from these trainings?
I think they organize it often. So if this time I go, the other time, the next time, the other one will go. We make it around. Whenever it is taking place, then somebody will go. But I think I attended it twice.
Do you know one Musa Suso, a prisoner?
Musa, yes, I know him.
Have you ever attended to Musa Suso in the clinic?
No.
Do you know Mbalo Kante, a prisoner?
Mbalo Kante, I don't know him. I heard the name, but I don't know him personally.
We have also received information that Musa Suso was also beaten in prison.
He could be beaten, but not him. I don't hear that one.
You did not hear it, and did you witness it?
No, I'm not a witness. I didn't witness it.
Okay. Let's go back to the food rations that we're talking about. I've already put to you that probably the theft of the food ration also contributed to the poor diet of the prisoners, which you've admitted to, correct?
Yeah.
And the trainings you've received, you only mentioned the HIV training and TB training. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, did you receive any other training that will help equip you for the work that you were doing at prisons?
No, the only training I attended again was the OIC summit that was supposed to take place last year, but it didn't take place. We were at the fire service there for a first aid training session.
The medic unit, during the time you were there, from 2005 to 2016, did you have any medical office, prison guard, who is a medical officer that qualified as a nurse and was working at the medic unit?
Not at all.
Was management even interested in improving the skills of its staff or hiring people that would serve as medics at the prison?
Can you please repeat your question?
I said, was management even interested in improving or training the medic staff or hiring people that were qualified to treat prisoners?
Yes.
If you say yes, then can you please justify that answer?
Yes, if you were trained, maybe you can be managing the cases you can manage. Then if you cannot, those you cannot manage, if the visiting doctor will be there, he can carry it on from there, or you refer the individual.
Madam, you've told us that throughout your duration as a medical officer, or a medic officer, I can say, at Mile 2 prisons, you've not received any substantive training except for the 8 months you did at RVTH. And none of the staff there received any form of nursing training or were trained to be doctors to take care of the medical needs of the prisoners. If that was the case, again, I'll repeat my question. Would you say that management was even interested in the health of prisoners?
Yes, it was interested.
Well, I'll put it to you based on the evidence that we have received that management was never interested in improving the health conditions of the prisoners because the medic staff themselves were not properly trained to attend to the needs of the sick prisoners.
That's true.
Thank you very much. When you returned as the officer in charge of the medic unit, how many people were serving under that unit?
I think we were 5 there.
You were?
Together with those at Joshua?
Yes.
I think we are 9.
You were 9?
We are 9.
And you were the most senior one?
No. I have a senior one there.
And who is?
Waf was my senior and Jatujame.
The remaining 6 were your juniors?
No, they were my senior, together with Jari Tulu.
So there were other 6 people there that joined the unit?
Yes, others came in.
Did those people receive any form of training?
No.
Did they undergo the same training you went through, the 6 months training? Did they undergo that training?
No, we had 2 who went under the training of as lab technicians. They did the training.
Only 2. And how do you know how long their training lasted, even as lab technicians?
No, I don't know for how long the training lasted.
But do you know if they are certified lab technicians?
I don't know whether they were certified.
So even from the time you came back to Mile 2, the conditions with respect to the people that were working there, their qualifications had not improved, correct?
Can you please repeat your question?
By the time you came back to Mile 2, that was in between 2015 and 2016, you've not had any improvement in the qualifications of the people that were there, and the people that joined you in that particular unit did not have any additional qualifications that can add value to the unit. Am I correct?
You are correct, yes.
Can you tell us about the present day, like the medic unit, the staff that are there presently? Do you have any nurses, any qualified nurses working under that particular unit?
No.
The infirmary that is at the Mile 2 prisons, has the condition improved from previously till date? Sorry, that is apart from the structure that you have.
No, nothing has been improved there.
So till now, the conditions are still the same?
The condition of the clinic is still the same. We were only given mattresses to put it there, but nothing has changed.
You've been in service for, let's say, about 14 years, correct?
Yeah.
And throughout your service, you've always served in the medic unit, correct?
Yeah.
And apart from the time that you served
at the main gate.
At the main gate, you've always served in the medic unit?
Correct.
Correct?
Correct, yes.
And throughout your service, you've only undergo 6 months of training as a medic. And since then, they've not improved your qualifications with respect to the job that you're doing, correct?
Exactly.
And your current position right now is the officer in charge of the medic unit?
No, mile 2.
In mile 2?
Yes.
Is it officer in charge of mile 2 or the medic unit?
Not the
Help
medic
me out.
unit, because I have a senior lady, so I'm not in charge of the medical unit. I'm the officer in charge of the mile 2 medical unit.
So you are the officer in charge of mile 2 medical units?
Yes.
And you've already told us that throughout your work at mile 2 prisons, you've only told us about 2 incidents of torture that you've heard or witnessed, correct?
Correct, yes.
But you also agreed that corporal punishment was a common thing, or beating and punishment of prisoners was a common thing at mile 2 prisons, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you've also told us that beriberi was quite common. And is it still the same case as of now?
No, not as of now.
But
it's not common as of now.
Previously, beriberi was the leading cause of deaths of inmates at mile 2 prisons. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Apart from that, do you have anything else to add on to what you've said so far?
I have nothing else to add on that.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Witness. Thank you for answering all of my questions. Mr. Chairman, that will be all from me for the witness.
Thank you very much, my counsel, and thank you very much, Madam Sanneh, for your testimony. Commissioners, if you have any questions to ask, please so indicate. I'll start with Bishop, right-hand side.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Fanta, Sanneh, you did mention that prisoners that suffer from these beriberi sickness, you normally recommend high-protein diet for them. What would that high-protein diet be?
I don't know how the high-protein diet is being prepared at the kitchen. What they call it high-protein diet. That diet is at least better. I think beans is involved, fish, meat, so they prepare it. I cannot exactly explain how that diet is. The officer at the kitchen will be in a better position to describe how the diet is.
Secondly, the prisoners that are tortured and injuries are inflicted, on them. How do you treat that injury? Or is it that you treat at your own level, or do you recommend that they should go to the hospital to get proper medical checkup?
Thank you very much. Normally, if it is a minor injury, then we treat it at our own level. But if it is a serious thing, obviously we have to refer the individual to the hospital for better management.
Thank you. Commissioner Kinte. Yeah.
Madam Sanneh,
Yes,
your issue about the tortures centered more on convicts or convicts and those remanded. I think I'm not sure whether Solo Sanneh was a convict or a detainee, but not much has been covered about the detainees. And the reports we had here was that a lot of detainees were tortured very seriously. Can you give us example, well, an encounter where you have not witnessed, but you have knowledge of detainees being tortured, and who were they?
Detainees are brought to the prisons without a warrant. So I can say we don't deal with them directly. In other way, we don't have a lot to do with them. Those who have a lot to do with them are DP militants. We've treated some. Yes.
Can you name few? I know Solo Koromang has been covered. You've mentioned that earlier, but can you name few of them who have been injured and have been you treated them?
Let me start with the ladies. Fanta Dabu was injured and was treated. I treated her, sorry. Juguna too had a finger, which we also tried to cure. Yeah. Those are the ones, and the other ones too said they were tortured, but they didn't come with any injuries. But they said they were tortured and they had general body pain and other things, Fatumata and others. Then the male ones were Usainu. I myself personally removed the stitches on his head. You have Lamin Diba too. I treated him. But the first time they came, my junior officers went to see them at the security wing. Yes. But later, I myself personally went there some day, another in a different day to see them.
Thank you. Imam Diallo, you have the floor, please.
Witness,
No.
you have had more than 14 years experience in this very turbulent and difficult situation in the prisons. If we are to make a recommendation to the Commission, what would be your most important recommendation for the rehabilitation of the prisons? Thank you.
The most important one to me would be my area, because health is a concern to everybody. If you are not healthy, if you are not okay, if you are not well, you can't go to anywhere. Even going to court level, they prefer going to court more than anything if they are in the prisons. But if the person is sick, he cannot appear to court. So I would recommend my area first. Building a standard clinic in the prisons. We don't have a standard clinic in the prisons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Jones, you have the floor, please.
Ms. Sanneh, you mentioned that beriberi is not very common in the prisons nowadays at present.
Yes.
What would you say is the most common symptoms of inmates, or what do they complain about the most in prison in terms of illnesses or sicknesses?
They complain on different, but the most complain ones, Mile 2 is surrounded by swamps. So the most common one I can say is this malaria fever. They will come in with symptoms, malaria symptoms. Those are very common ones.
And would you say you have adequate medical supplies to attend to these sick inmates?
We don't have adequate medical supplies at Mile 2. That is a problem since in the First Republic to date.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned the pepper soup diet. I think that's what Bishop was trying to allude to earlier.
I didn't get you.
You mentioned the pepper soup diet earlier, but you've also said you don't know much about this diet. Are you trying to tell the Commission that there has been no form of communication, or the medics the medics do not liaise with the kitchen in terms of what diet to put the inmates on, or is there no form of supervision or recommendations from the medics themselves as to what these inmates should eat?
Not at all.
Okay.
The menu comes from Nana, which they follow up. This pepper soup diet, I don't know how it comes to the kitchen. I don't know who initiated it. At first, they call it high-protein diet. Now they change it to pepper soup diet. I don't know where the initiative came from. I can't tell. I found it there, and it is still going on.
So you would not know if the pepper soup diet consists of only pepper soup?
Yeah, it could be meat pepper soup or fish pepper soup. Those are the two things they prepare.
Okay, my final question. In your opinion, or rather from your assessment, has there been any significant changes or improvement in the prison system from January 2017 to date?
There has been an improvement, hence this berry is a thing of the past today. I can say we have a significant improvement in our area.
Apart from the berry, is there any other? Because that's the only thing I've heard mentioned
Another
this week.
thing, because berry was not only the killer disease there, and other things too. We've tried to at least anybody who is sick, we try to immediately evacuate you to the hospital. That is going on there smoothly, no problem. If you are sick, we don't watch you to suffer. We take you straight. We have a standby ambulance there. We are there to prepare the referral form. Then it will rush you to A&E.
Okay, is this the trend only at Mile 2, or does this apply to Joshua as well as Janjanbureh?
Joshua, if they have emergency, we have only one ambulance, and it is stationed at Mile 2. So if they have an emergency, they will call us. The ambulance will rush there, take the individual to Joshua, to Canifin, to the nearest hospital.
Would you know what happens in Janjanbureh? I know you're not stationed there, but would you know, since you and Joshua seem to share one ambulance, do you know what the Janjanbureh prison would do if they have a medical emergency?
Janjanbureh, they are fine. If you have been to Janjanbureh, you will see the location of the prisons and the health center. It is now even located directly opposite the gate of the prisons. So any sick report, they will evacuate the guy to the health center, and he will receive the medical attention as soon as he arrives at the clinic, health center.
There's no ambulance station at that prison, no?
We have only one ambulance throughout the 3 stations. That's Mile 2.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There are no further questions. Before you make your concluding remarks, if you have any, Madam Sanneh, do you know any prison officers who have administered corporal punishment on inmates?
The one I can hear people saying would be Ibrahim Ajame and the group. So those involved in the group, I don't know who are those. I had Tamba, Ibrahim Ajame. Yes. Tamba, Ibrahim Ajame. I don't know. Yes, they have a group, but I cannot remember all the names. I'm not familiar to all the prison officers' names. But they have a group. They ended up forming a group.
And are they designated as some people who would administer corporal punishment?
Yes, I don't know how they came about with this issue of corporal punishment designated to them. I can't tell much on that. I don't know how it came about.
And is this punishment administered at all 3 prisons, Joshua, Mile 2, and the Janjanbureh?
It could be, but I can't tell for Joshua and Janjanbureh.
Thank you very much. You may now proceed with your Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah, okay, go ahead, Commissioner Carl.
Thank you. Earlier, Commissioner Jallo asked you a question about recommendations you would like to make regarding your work. And one of the things that came up was that your work is of interest to you. And earlier, I'm not sure if you've dealt with this, but how often do you have trainings regarding your profession?
Depending on to those organizing the training, because we don't even have trainings there. It is only when all those people organize trainings, then we will be served with a letter to go and attend.
So you don't have opportunities for further training, for instance, in higher education institutions such as the School of Nursing and things like that?
Not yet.
And would you want to be trained?
Of course, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You may now proceed with your concluding remarks, please.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to greet everybody in here, from the chairman to the last man. I would like to talk about the prisons, the difficulties we encounter there. We are definitely suffering in there. Since the first republic to date, prisoners are suffering and the prison officers are suffering too. All of us are suffering. We don't have a conducive environment to work, and the prisoners too don't have a conducive environment to stay. If you go to the prisons, you will see how the structures are. Since the colonial time, these structures have been there. There is nothing being done to improve the structures there. You go in, you see the environment. You cannot imagine whether a human being can live in such environment. Where they put this waste, you cannot, every time, especially this rainy season coming, during the rainy season, if you don't mind, you will eat together with flies. Yes. If you don't mind, you don't keep fanning, you can eat flies together in your food. So I would like to tell the government to please look into the prisons. We are neglected. We are far, far neglected behind. Yes, prisoners where they live should be at least a standard place for them. You cannot say a country there won't be a prisons. There must be prisons in a country, but the prisons must be a standard prisons. But the Mile 2 prison is so congested. Now there's this padding of corona has even reduced a lot of congestion in the prisons. But the congestion there sometimes, when they start bringing in prisoners, you cannot just imagine. Some people will be telling you we are sleeping in the floor. And that is so, so horrible. We would like the government to do something for the inmates there. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, and anybody can go into the prisons. We've been seeing people who are in the high positions today, they were in the prisons. But as soon as they are there, they will be telling us, if you go out, we will do this, we will do that, we will do this. And at the end, we will not see anything. And the issue of drugs remains the same thing till today. If we go to collect our drugs there, when we request for the drugs, they will say this drug is not available, this drug is not available. And the only budget they prepare for the prisons to prisoners' budget for their medicine is not given this year. It's not given this year at all. They have a token they prepare for the prisons to be buying drugs when the unavailable ones or the medicines to support the clinic. But this year, the government did not give us even a single butut. We are there like that. If we go for the supply, if it is there, whatever is available there, they will give it to us. If it is not available, we are struggling there with the inmates. If they go to the hospital without, they come back with a prescription, the only thing we do for them is to call their relatives to get the drugs for them. or I will go to the finance. Before I will go to the finance and say this is a prescription and he must get it. He is under us, then we were we were giving that token. They will take it from there, they will buy the medicine for that person. But it's not happening this year. We are suffering there. Let the government have a look to us, at us. We are definitely suffering. Definitely. The budget, the why they didn't give it to us this year, the reason is based on to them. And the prisoners are there, you cannot keep people, you cannot care for their health. I don't know why we were giving, for the past years, we were giving this money. But this year, nothing has been given to us. And the judges there will be sitting giving us court orders that this person must be provided with the drugs prescribed for the person. Where do we get the money from? If I don't buy it, my DG have to buy it. If I don't buy it, operation have to buy it. If I don't buy it, superintendent CC have to buy it. We have there with us. So that is disheartening, definitely. Let them when they go to the National Assembly, let them consider the prisons. And even the officers, we are suffering. If you go to the quarters, you will see how the prisoners are, the prison officers are living. Their living condition is horrible. You go to the quarters, you cannot imagine if a human being is living in the quarters here. I think you've been to that quarters. So let the government do something for the prisons. We are definitely, we still, with all that negligence, we are still working, wholehearted. We put on our uniform looking so smart. Every day we hang on our backs and go. We are so confident, we will not complain. It will pain us, but we have nothing to say. We are just adhering to whatsoever. We are servicemen, and they say discipline is #1, the backbone of service. So we are still trying, managing in that condition. Let the government help us to improve the living condition of the inmates and the living condition of the officers. That's another thing. The other thing is the clinic. A station like Mile 2, there is no clinic. We are not trained nurses. But if we have a standard clinic, we can be working on the doctors. If we are not trained at all, doctors can be coming. People can, qualified people can apply to join us. They will work in the prisons. We will work under them. But let the government build a standard clinic facility in the prisons. We need it. We definitely need it. And it is not happening. Let the government have a look into the prisons. We beg. Let them have a look into the prisons. We are far, far behind compared to other institutions. Even the allowances, people, they said they all applied together, these allowances, they said. All the institutions applied. But prisons, we don't have it. Prisons, best known to them. And we are working, we are all civil servants. But how can we give to this institution? You said that the other institutions should wait till next year. If we apply, whatever we apply together with other institutions are considered, not the prisons. We don't know what we've done to the government. It doubts me, definitely. So we are appealing, let the government consider the prisons. We are also civil servants. Every day we take our bags, we dress up, we go to work as the other civil servants. Yes, I am appealing. And this justice too for the prisoners. Prisoners would be there for years. The justice system in the Gambia, I don't know. Prisoners will be there for years, sitting, waiting for their fate. You see a prisoner coming from the remand wing, he will tell you, I would say, for how long have you been here? They will be so used to you, like a family member. For how long have you been here? He will tell you 5 years up. 5 years above, still now your rulings cannot take place. That also is another concern. If justice is going according to how it should go, at least the congestion there at the remand wing would be better. You know your fate, you join the other ones there. Maybe transfer will come there, would move you to another station. But you will be there at the remand wing. All of us, I think you visited the remand wing. The way the remand wing is you cannot just imagine for how many hundreds of people living in that condition. So we are appealing to the government to see what to do. If they are going to build a new prisons for the nation, let them look into it. But that mile two, when it's surrounded by the swamps, they don't have, there is no season for mosquitoes at mile two. Prisoners are suffering from these mosquito bites. And this small they call, I don't know, locally called mutu mutu. If they start here, no prisoner is sleeping, no officer is sleeping, is having peace with these insects. Prison officers are in a terrible state, and the prisoners are also in a terrible state. We are appealing to the government once again, let them consider the prisons. Yes, let them consider the prison. We are far, 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 far behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Sanneh, for those remarks. And this is the beginning of our institutional hearings, and we will take into account very much the testimonies that you're giving. That should help us in the formulation of our recommendations regarding institutional reforms. But again, thank you so much, Emma, for coming to testify before the Commission. We will end the day today and then come back tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.